Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chtib Zhang Show, episode 62. In this episode, Eric, UFC Fight Night 203, Santos versus Ankalaev. We're talking about three fights on the main card, some interesting fights, some interesting fighters that we want to talk about, and we'll be looking at that. And of course, NFL, Russell Wilson trade, and the Aaron Rodgers big contract signing, what that means going forward. We'll give you all the details coming up. As per usual, before we jump into it, roll it. Welcome back to the Chtib Zhang Show. Like we said, 62, Santos versus Ankalaev, Eric. Before we talk about NFL, we're going to talk about the UFC Fight Night. We've got three fights to look at, some interesting ones. So let's just jump right into it. For the first fight on this UFC Fight Night is, of course, well, not the first fight, but the one we selected, the ones we want to talk about is, of course, Drew Dober versus Terence Mckinney. This is a lightweight battle. Drew Dober, you might not recognize if, of course, you're not that big into the NFL or not NFL UFC. Terence McKinney, though, if you don't know much about the UFC, you might have seen his highlights. The guy's climbing up fast the lightweight ranks. He's had the fastest knockout in UFC history, I think. Then follow that up with another KO, and he's had a great start to his career. And so we want to talk about this fight because I'm a big prospect in the lightweight, and you got to talk about him, of course. So Eric, Drew Dober is, of course, the favorite in this fight. As we know, Terence McKinney, like I said, he's the prospect, still coming up. So there's still stuff to look for. But Drew Dober, he's been around. So he's the favorite under 165 odds. Terence McKinney is a plus 145 underdog. So Eric, I'm gonna start off right at the bat. I'm taking Terence McKinney just for the reason that he is the underdog in this fight, which of course is something to look at. The guy's a great fighter. He's got a lot of great qualities in his game, and anytime someone like that is a favorite or an underdog, I got to be looking at them. So I'm putting money on Terence McKinney this weekend. McKinney, Eric, if you don't know, just recently fought in the Makhachev versus Green fight night. That was a week ago or a week and not too long ago. Yeah, he's got his fifth straight first round finish. He's great on his feet. He's got good stand up. He can grapple. He's an active fighter. Again, active fighter versus a non-active fighter is huge implication. Like I said, versus Jorge versus Colby, right? An active Colby versus an unactive Jorge. And then we saw what Colby was able kind of to do to Jorge Masvidal, take control in that fight. That was a great card, by the way, great fight for Colby Covington. We took him the win. He comes out with the win, but yeah, kind of like that. Very active. So I don't think he's going to have any jitters going into this fight. Of course, he's stepping up for an injured fighter that Drew Dober was supposed to fight. He's stepping up for them. So good for Terence McKinney, staying active. I love active fighters. So no jitters. He's a very scrambly fighter, almost like a Colby Covington, if we're going to compare. Able to withstand the grappling, able to pretty much get away from people. He's got that scrambly freaking fight attitude. So kind of hard to get your hands stuck on him for grapplers. And he's able to kind of get away. Very elusive fighter. He's great on the feet, like I said. He kind of has a combination of great kickboxing. And so I'm looking at Terence McKinney here. Drew Dober, he's got a good ground game. We know that. He's a strong guy. He's coming in bigger than Terence McKinney. It's a bigger body. He's definitely difficult to finish. He's got a good chin. So I'm probably going to take this as a decision. I think Terence McKinney is just going to pick his spots and gain those points. And in the end, when the judges favor in the decision, I don't know if it's going to be a split decision or not. But yeah, Drew Dober is the less confident fighter. He has 2 losses in a row. Of course, he's fought Makhachev, so that makes sense. And then the other one comes versus Brad Riddle. So I'm going to go with Terence McKinney. His confidence is through the roof right now. He's active. He's going to go in there. He's not going to be intimidated at all. And I think he's going to come out with a decision win here, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's super interesting that Terence McKinney is actually the underdog. I didn't even know that. It's kind of surprising because how I see it right now is Terence McKinney. I still remember when he won the tournament in Bellator. He won $1 million, and that was a huge thing. And I remember I watched the fight. I was like, okay, this guy's amazing. and coming to the UFC, he's been amazing ever since. 2-fight win streak, right? Both finishes in the first round. So, for me, it's super interesting because it's like I, I I started watching Drew Dober. Like the first fight I saw was against Makhachev. I was watching that live,
Yep.
and obviously it's hard to see someone's level when they have to fight Makhachev, right? Um, the thing with Drew Dober is very, very super jacked, dude, like super strong. Definitely a bit definitely a very heavy lightweight, as you said. What intrigued me for Drew Dober was okay, when you're fighting Makhachev, it's a little tough to
Yeah.
analyze too much,
Evaluate a
but
fighter.
but he's a vet. He has, I think, over like 15 fights in the UFC. He's been in the UFC since 2013, I believe. So he's fought many times in the UFC. He's that guy that a lot of people fight to get in that top 15 rankings because he's around that 15, 20 ranking. He's always been there.
Yeah.
So as we always talk about these like stepping stone fighters, right? So he's one of those guys. If you can get past Drew Dober, you can hop in that top 15. So, um, for me, the key to this fight is for Drew Dober. They're both not that big on the wrestling, right? Drew Dober gets taken down not very easy, but pretty easy. So I think it's gonna be a stand-up fight. Um, when Mckinney, his last win was actually a submission rear naked choke, so I could see a lot of scrambling, as you said. Terence
Yep.
McKinney, very scrambly fighter. Definitely a lightweight, so very scrambly, but super athletic. So that's the thing with athletic fighters. You never know; they can just pull. They go a lot for the KOs, but if it goes too long, usually the athletic fighter doesn't always win because it wasn't as pretty. So I'm still gonna go Terence McKinney. I'm gonna put a lot of money on this because I actually do believe that Terence McKinney, he's an upcoming prospect.
Yeah.
Drew Dober is a really good fighter. It's gonna be a really close fight, but I believe Terence McKinney is gonna come out with the win just because he's skyrocketing and
Mm-hmm.
the UFC wants him to skyrocket. They love their young prospects and I don't like I don't want to know what people's reason are for like betting on Drew Dober because as a favorite, it's kind of weird. But I think it's the experience because Drew Dober has beaten a lot of really good
Yeah.
fighters. And Terence McKinney, he did well in Bellator, but now in the UFC, he has two wins. He's still considered young, right, and a rising prospect. So I don't know. Just give me
It's
Terence McKinney.
yeah, it's tough, honestly, because Drew Dober is the favorite. And like I don't feel safe putting money on on that type of favorite, right? When you got a guy like Terence McKinney waiting. And so that's why I'm betting, like that's why I'm taking Terence McKinney. He's the underdog. The bettors put him as the underdog, so I'm taking advantage. It's plain and simple. Drew Dober is a good fight. There's a chance he can win this fight, of course. But with the opportunity of making money here this weekend, you got to put your money on Terence McKinney. It's the logical thing to do for me. So that's why I got to take it. And he has a good chance of winning, of course. Very good chance. So that's where we suggest to put your money if you're going to bet this weekend in this fight card. Moving on, Eric, a bantamweight fight, Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. Song Yadong is the favorite, of course, pretty much a 2-1 favorite, Eric, under 240.
Okay.
Marlon's plus 222. Those odds are changeable. Basically, he's a 2-1 favorite, Song Yadong. Moraes, man, Marlon, listen, the guy's had a tough stretch of fights, Eric. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, all KO'd. He's been knocked out all 3 fights. So obviously that chin, it's looking a bit like glass, Eric, obviously. And Song Yadong. Also, Moraes has been Jose Aldo. I looked at his fight stats. He won by split decision. But still, even though he's being Jose Aldo, I like Song Yadong in this fight. I'm taking him. I like him better on the feet. He's the better kickboxer, in my opinion. He's got the better chin, in my opinion. He has the option to grapple if he wants, to put the offensive on Marlon with his grappling. He's younger. He's more confident. Obviously, he's not coming into the fight with getting knocked out 3 times in a row. He's not on the 3-fight losing streak, right? So if they end up I expect this fight to be on stand-up. Don't expect it to go to the ground. So if it's going to be standing up, I got to take Song Yadong. You have to, right? For me, he's going to piece up Marlon. I don't know if this is going to be. It could most likely will be a decision, but I think Song Yadong's going to win every single round in this 3-round fight. And I'm going to take the more confident fight. Confidence is huge in the UFC. And Marlon has just been. I mean, I don't know how it feels, but to get knocked out 3 times in a row. That's got to, like, you might say that's something you could forget about going into your next fight, Eric. but we both know that's something that is in the back of his head. That keeps coming up, that he's been knocked. The fact that he's like not only lost 3 times in a row, they're all coming in the way of knockout. So that's definitely hindered on his confidence. You can't deny it. And for that reason, I'm taking Song Yadong.
Okay. No, yeah. For the thing with Marlon Moraes is, I still remember anytime someone's able to beat Marlon Moraes, they're at the top, right? Because Marlon Moraes has always been in the top 5 for the longest time. He actually beat Aljamain Sterling, who's the paper champ right now, whatever it's called. So, he was doing really well. He got the title fight against Henry Cejudo, lost that, got KO'd. And then beat Jose Aldo in a really close fight, right? So that was very impressive. But then he lost through Corey Sandhagen, very good fighter. We know how good he is.
Knocks people out.
Rob Font too. Rob Font's a really good fighter. And then Merab's a up and coming fighter. He's on a hot streak too. So the fighters he's been fighting are pretty tough. But Marlon Moraes, the UFC considers like him at the top, so he has to be able to win these fights. And the thing with Marlon Moraes, I've watched a bunch of his fights, because he's really fun to watch. Because what happens in most of these fights is he just gets tired out, and he goes super intense at the beginning. He looks like he's about to win, and then he just gets tired out, and he ends up losing the fight and gets KO'd every time. And on the other side, you have Song Yadong, who I've actually been following for a while since his Marlon Vera fight. That was a very Marlon Vera said it was controversial. I don't think it was that controversial, because if you look at the numbers and everything, because it was weird, because Marlon Vera lost to Song Yadong, Sean O'Malley, so it was very weird, because I don't even know how to explain, but Song Yadong's a really good fighter. He's super. A lot of people have him going at the top. To be honest, I don't think I've watched every single one of his fights since the Marlon Vera fight. I don't know if he has that it factor. He's a really good fighter. I think I don't know if he's what's his ranking. I think he's like top. I think he's 11th or something.
No,
he's
clue. Definitely, I can go check it though.
He's in the top 15. But if he can beat Marlon Moraes, this is a really good matchup, because you have a guy that's declining and a guy that's rising right now. So that makes for a really good matchup. I think Song Yadong's gonna come out. He's 11th. Yeah.
No, I haven't checked yet.
Oh,
but yeah.
But I think Song Yadong's coming out with the victory. I think, as you said,
Song Yadong.
Okay, 14th. I think
Marlon's
Song Yadong's
10.
Okay, Marlon dropped hard, man. I remember when he was in the top 3 all the time, or top 5. So, I have Song Yadong winning this. I don't know if he should be that much of a favorite, because Marlon Moraes, hey, he's got hands, and Song Yadong hasn't been like a super exciting fight. Like he hasn't been like crazy. Like there's not that much hype behind him. He's not like a Sugar Sean O'Malley or like he's a really good fighter, but I don't know if he's got that. So
yeah,
I'll give me Song Yadong for the win. I think,
but don't give me Song Yadong for a future champ, is what you're saying?
Not, I don't know.
There's still a lot of if you look at that bantamweight, it's exactly competitive.
It's very interesting. It's very good for the division.
You got Jan, TJ, Jose, Corey, Rob Font, Merab.
If
Dominic
you think
Cruz,
about it, come back. Exactly. Merab's a really good fight. So if you look at all the bantamweight, every single bantamweight fight I've watched has been super entertaining, because they're so quick. Like they move so quickly, right? And so yeah. And the thing with Marlon Moraes, I feel like he's gonna become like a Cody Garbrandt, just.
Oh yeah.
Like keeps getting KO. So it's kind of sad to see Marlon Moraes and Cody Garbrandt just going downhill like this. So, but I don't know where Marlon Moraes' career trajectory is going. So I feel like if he keeps losing,
if he gets knocked out versus Song Yadong, man, it won't be pretty, because he's a pretty good fighter when he's standing up. Like that fight versus Merab, if you watch it, he lands some good shots on him.
Yeah. Some
good shots until obviously in the second he gets knocked out. But before that, there was some good things to see from him. Hopefully that's something he can do against Song Yadong. But I don't know, man. This I don't know how his confidence going into this fight, if it's gonna mess with his head or anything like that, and he's gonna try and not get knocked out. But it's gonna be something to look for sure. But yeah. It should be an interesting fight, and it's going to be a lot to look forward to come this weekend. But Eric, it's time to move on to the main fight of UFC Fight Night 203. And of course, is a lightweight matchup between Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Magomed is a huge favorite, coming in at a staggering under 500 odds to win this fight, Eric.
Okay.
Thiago Santos is a plus 380. So obviously, the bettors don't have any trust in Thiago Santos. And why would you, Eric? Thiago Santos coming off that win versus Johnny Walker did not look impressing whatsoever at this point of your career. If you close out a fight like you did versus Johnny Walker, a guy whose career, Eric, is plummeting, obviously, right? He just got knocked out in his last fight. He's been getting knocked out, and so right now, that win over Johnny Walker does not look very good for Thiago Santos. Of course, he's lost a few times in this a lot in this division to good contenders, obviously top contenders. So there's that to look at. He's up there as the top guys in the division, but he's lost to the top guys in the decision. So when you look at his loss total, just be aware that he's fought some really good guys in this division. He's 38 years old, Eric. He's a guy who can piece you up standing up with his hands, his legs. He's got powerful legs, some dynamite hands. However, he is going against Magomed Ankalaev, Eric, who is not from Dagestan. You might think from the hair and the beard. No, he's not one of the Khabibs or the Islam Makhachevs. But still, he's a great wrestler, still nonetheless. But Eric, the difference between him and Makhachev and Chimaev, right, is his kickboxing. His kickboxing is much better than theirs. Obviously, maybe his wrestling is not as good, but he's still a great wrestler, a guy who gets you down, looks for the ground and pounds. And so look for him to do that. He's younger. He's more well-rounded, as I was saying, great kickboxer and wrestler. And he's a precise, powerful striker, which is like the huge difference to these other competitive wrestlers in the UFC. And he, of course, has clinch and grappling, and he's 29 years old. So almost 10 years younger than Thiago Santos. And I'm going to go with Ankalaev, right? He's younger. He's going to be able to take Thiago Santos down. And I'm looking for like a TKO in the fourth round, Eric. I don't think this fight ends early. These are two guys who take their time. Don't rush into anything. Especially Thiago Santos, like what you saw versus Johnny Walker. It was a boring fight. He's most likely going to try the same tactics. And Ankalaev is a guy who's going to be looking to piece you up with the calf kicks, get you down wrestling, get you down for ground control, piece you up on the ground, and then come out with a decision win or like a TKO stoppage, fourth, fifth round. That's kind of where I think this fight's headed. And obviously, no title shot, right? There's no title shot after this. Whoever wins this fight's not getting a title shot. Forget about that. There's too many contenders, right? Yuri's fighting Glover for the title. You got Yan, who still wants a title shot, of course, and he deserves one. Rakic. So there's just too many people in front of these guys, but this could be a big fight. Who knows? Who knows after the Thiago or the title shot, Glover and Yuri, if Rakic gets the next one? Most likely he gets the next one after. Maybe the winner of this fight's Yan. Who knows? Or Yan can wait out and demand his title shot if he wants. I'm not sure if you get it, but there's a possibility for a Jan Blachowicz matchup for whoever wins this. Hopefully it's Magomed Ankalaev. I don't want to see Thiago Santos win this fight. I don't think he's winning this fight, but that would change things for sure. But yeah, that's who I got going. I'm gonna go with the you gotta go with the all-around fighter. That's wrestler, kickboxer. He does it well for both, so I'm going with him.
Yeah, so same here. I still remember it was 2020. I was watching the Khabib versus Gaethje card.
Yeah.
Khabib's last fight. Well, at the time I didn't know it was gonna be his last fight, and I was watching the undercard and getting hyped for the fight. And then I see Ankalaev versus I knew who Cutelaba was because I don't know if you ever seen, but this guy like he puts like a green he put like green on his face and he looked like Hulk one time, and then I remember that's how I know who Cutelaba is. Okay, but it was this huge hyped up fight. It was a rematch because the fight before there was like a controversial call, and so this was gonna settle everything, and then Ankalaev comes in, knocks him out clean. I was like, okay, I've been a fan ever since. And after that, he went on to fight twice, won both by decision. Decently close fights, not super dominant, like pretty dominant. If you look at the numbers, not super dominant, right? Because these 3-round fights, you can't go crazy in. So, no, Ankalaev, really good fighter, very, very well rounded, as you said, good on the ground, kickboxing. So that's what differs him from everyone else. The thing with Ankalaev is most people in the light heavyweight have him as like they think he can be the next champ soon because he has everything to do that.
This is number 6 versus number 5, by the way. Ankalaev
exactly
number 6, Santos number 5. There goes to show
So
how the light heavyweight division is a bit slower, and there's
yeah,
only a few guys.
yeah. There's only a few guys, and to be honest, there's not that many big names, right? Like
No,
Yang, Glover, but there's
yeah,
not that many big names. So Ankalaev can rise in ranks for sure. The thing with Thiago Santos is I've always liked Thiago Santos. Um, he's beating some really good fighters. He's beating Anthony Smith. He's beating Yan, right? And he was on this huge streak, and then he fought for the title, lost a split decision to John Jones. So that is already crazy, right? So a lot of people want to see that Thiago Santos, the one that lost a split decision to John Jones. I saw Anthony Smith talking about it. If that Thiago Santos comes in and does that, then there's a good chance he couldn't win, right? And then he goes on, loses to Glover. Glover's a champ, so it's pretty fair. And then he lost to what's his name? To Alexander Rakic. Alexander Rakic is a really good fighter. We know how good he is.
yep.
It was a very close decision. So and then beats Johnny Walker. Not very impressive, right? So
No.
his career path is going a little weird right now. Because he is 38, as you said, but it is never too late. You see Glover was on, and then he skyrocketed up. So you never know. And Thiago Santos is a beast. If you watch him fight, well, he used I don't know anymore. Like I remember back in the day, he's a beast. Now he's kind of more very like the Johnny Walker fight kind of turned me
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's very like obviously if you're gonna strike, a lot of people are like, oh, just keep on the feet. Like if you're gonna strike, at least like throw some punches. Like I'd rather a lot of wrestling than just like a lot of like shadow boxing. So that's why it's but he is a very good fighter. But I don't think the odds should be that big. I think it should be like
Yeah, it shouldn't be this fucking wide. Like basically a 4-1, 5-1 favorite.
Exactly, which is kind of crazy for a 5-6 matchup, especially with Thiago Santos coming off a win, right? So give me Ankalaev. I think it's gonna be a decision win. I think he's gonna piece him up. He's gonna mix in the wrestling. He's gonna mix in the kickboxing, right? And people gotta watch out for Ankalaev, man, because this guy's on the rise. Everyone knows he's on the rise, and he kind of fits what the lightweight division is right now, a very dark horse division, right? With a lot of really good fighters, right? Like if you look at them, some very good fighters, right? Some very good contenders, as you said, but very underrated fighters, right? It's not as exciting as it was back in the day. Like Jan's very exciting fighter to watch. Glover is very exciting. Anthony Smith is still there, Rakic, right? And then Yuri Prochazka, who's next up.
Yeah.
But it's really weird because Yuri Lee he has 3 wins in the UFC, and now he's a title fight. And you can't forget Dominic Reyes either.
Yeah.
So I think that's why John Jones went up to heavyweight, because there just wasn't it wasn't all these fights like they're gonna be close, but like it wasn't much for his legacy, So there wasn't much there to like prove anyone wrong.
Yeah, I think John Jones is just trying to like, when you would talk specifically about his fighting game, who he is as a fighter in the octagon, I think he's trying to be like the GOAT of, not the GOAT, the light heavyweight, yes, right? We know that.
Yeah.
But he's going up to heavyweight to try and make his mark too. He's trying to be what do they call the heavyweight champ? The baddest man on the planet.
That's what it is.
So he's trying to be that guy. He's trying to get some title defenses too, and so he can run the light heavyweight and the heavy, kind of like what Daniel Cormier did.
Exactly.
And it's funny you say like, is John Jones not trying to be Daniel Cormier? Obviously, those two didn't have the best interactions when they were fighting, especially in the pros, in the media and stuff like that. But yeah, he's trying to be that guy. So obviously, light heavyweight, kind of the slower divisions in the UFC. Thiago Santos is on a losing streak. He's fought the top contenders. He's still the number 5 contender, which makes sense. It's kind of like a Michael Chandler, I would say. I wouldn't compare them, but the way Michael Chandler, how he fights these top fighters and then loses, but his ranking doesn't take a huge hit because of the fights he's in. And so I guess you could say that about Thiago Santos, whereas Magomed, man, he has a chance, like you said, to win the title here and make some noise in this division. Because if once he beats Santos, he'll be in the top contention, right? Automatically.
Exactly.
So he'll get a nice if he wins this fight, trust me, his next fight will be even bigger for his career and for his title aspirations. But like we said, yeah, so a little 3-fight parlay there to make to bet on for this weekend. There's one what's it called? Underdog. I don't know why I'm messing up. Yeah, underdog, Terence Mckinney. So that should help with the odds for your parlay. So make sure to bet on Ankalaev, McKinney, and Song Yadong. That's our parlay for you guys this weekend for UFC Fight Night 203 this Saturday in Las Vegas. But Eric, we are not done for the episode. As we had breaking news today in the NFL, some QB news, some big changes for a couple of teams as Russell Wilson has been traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos, Eric. Broncos had to trade a lot. They had to trade 2 first-round picks, a 5th-round pick, Noah Fant, and who was it? A defensive player too. Here I have it here. And defensive lineman Shelby Harris. So there you go. They gave up a lot, 2 second-round picks as well. And with that 5th rounder, Seattle gives up a 4th-round pick alongside Wilson going back to Denver. And man, Eric, when we were talking about Aaron Rodgers, well, we'll get to him. This was a potential place for Aaron Rodgers to go, was the Denver Broncos. If he were to leave the NFC and head to the AFC, the Denver Broncos would be the place to be or to go, as it made the most sense for us. But he didn't get traded there. Russell Wilson gets traded there instead. And now the Broncos have found their QB. Of course, this is coming off, a week ago? Pete Carroll said we're not trading him. We have no intentions of trading Russell. We've heard that before many times in the sports world. And a week later, he gets traded, of course. And so now Russell Wilson will be on a team that has a better defense than the Seattle Seahawks. Their forward wide receiver core, I don't know. There's a argument to be made if you compare who is it? DK Metcalf,
Tyler Lockett,
Bobby Wagner's on that team too, and so they had a pretty good team. But now he goes to a team that has the likes of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Patrick. So he has a pretty skilled position or wide receiver core, and so I don't, their offensive stats were bad last season or this season. Eric was bottom 20, I think it was. And so expect those numbers to go up now with Russell Wilson. He's a guy who can throw 30 touchdowns a year, right? He's been doing that the last 4 out of 5 years. I think he threw 30 touchdowns, except this season where he threw 25 or something like that. So Eric, put that in hindsight. No, in that time span of 5 years, no Broncos QB has been able to throw more than 18 touchdowns in a season for Denver. So there's some stats for Broncos fans to give some insight on how beneficial this trade is for them. So expect those offensive ranks to go up week by week as Russell Wilson settles in with his new group. Their defense, Eric, we know they have exceptional defense. That's one of their strongest points.
Exactly.
And their O-line, of course, is still one of their weakest points. And Seattle is one of the weakest points. That's what Russell Wilson was complaining about. So now he comes to this O-line, which is at best average. It's better than the Seahawks O-line, Eric, but not too much better. So he could still be running into the same problems, or Broncos general manager now, who George Patton has to go into free agency, because I think their 1st-round pick they traded was this year, 2022, has to be, right? You would assume so. There's no details on what years of the picks are, I think. But you would assume that one of them is 2022. So Broncos won't be able to draft an O-lineman, so they'll have to go to free agency to fix it, right? Because Bobby Massey, the right tackle, has been so inconsistent this season, especially in the run game. And their center Lloyd Cushenberry III, he hasn't been that well or good either this season. So they really got to fix that O-line if they want to make some noise, especially, Eric, in the division that has the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Derek Carr just had his best season with the Raiders. So, that's what our biggest thing with Aaron Rodgers is like, why would he go to this division with the likes of Patty Mahomes, Justin Herbert? Well, Russell Wilson's going there. but I don't know. There's some reason this team could be competitive in my mind if they fix this O line, right? Because they got the defense. Russell Wilson is still an elite quarterback in this league. There's no denying that, no arguing that. And he's got I believe in the wide receiver core. I like it. Is it as good as DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Time will have to tell. But I think these guys can really have a huge career year with Russell Wilson at the helm. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's their O-line for me. They're going to have to fix their O-line. Hopefully, I expect them to be able to attract offensive tackles to their team now. The fact that they're trying to be competitive, they're showing players that they're trying to be competitive. They traded a lot of their future away. They traded Noah Fant away, Eric. I like Noah Fant a lot. He was a tight end that could have been an elite tight end in this league, still young, and he goes to the Seahawks. So they have a little issues to fix here in the offseason, but this team can make some noise. And now, was it the AFC West? That's their division. Man, that could be one of the most competitive divisions in all of football, on top of some already, in the NFC with the Rams, that division. The AFC North with the Bengals is still an elite division. So they'll be looking at that, but we have to look at the Seahawks, what they have been doing. And there's going to be a lot of question marks with the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, like I was mentioning, what do they do? What do the Seahawks do now? They lose Russell Wilson. Eric, if I'm DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, I'm refreshing my phone to see if the Seahawks are still making other trades. Because how could you be content with a guy coming and succeeding Russell Wilson, right? Someone's going to come in and succeed Russell Wilson. Obviously, he's not going to be as good as Russell Wilson. And who knows what kind of caliber QB they're going to be getting. Is it going to be an elite QB? Are they going to flip those draft picks to get a younger guy who maybe doesn't make the same salary as Russell Wilson? It could be cheaper on their salary cap. Or is it going to be some average QB and they'll plug him in for the season and then they're like, oh, we won't be competitive. We're just going to wait for the draft, kind of like tanking it. If I'm those two, man, I'm refreshing because I'm not pleased right now with the Seattle Seahawks organization. They just traded my guy Russell Wilson, my quarterback, and now I'm like, what? I'm supposed to be happy and content. And I don't know. It's tough with those guys. They get Noah Fant, which is nice, and they get 2 first-round picks, but man, it just seems like they're not going to be competitive anymore. Like they've given up on being competitive for a little while here. And it's strange because they have some 2 elite wide receivers there for me. So we'll see.
No, it's going to be interesting for Seattle because I think this trade just shows that they're kind of ready to rebuild a bit. I know NFL, it's not rebuilding is not that big of a thing, right? Because I don't know what it is, but players don't last that long. So rebuild is not a real thing. So, but the fact that they got 2 first-round picks, Noah Fant's a very young tight end, just shows that they're kind of going towards that direction, right? As you said, it's tough on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett because obviously they had a top 5 QB in the league thrown to them. Now they're gonna have some. They're gonna
not a top 5.
Exactly, not a top 5 at all.
Maybe not even top 10. We'll see.
Exactly, and the thing is, last year was the first year where they did bad, right? Before that, they were always playoffs. You could always book Seattle in the playoffs, right? So last year was the first iffy year, and then right away trade year, which is pretty fair. Not really, but it's gonna be weird. But hey, Seattle's always been a really good, well-ran organization. Let's be honest, very, especially with PK
drafting too. Great drafting.
They've always been very consistent, so I'm not too worried about Seattle. On the other hand, I'm not gonna say Broncos because Broncos, they're not a bad organization. They won what 7
with Peyton Manning, 2015 or was it?
2015, yeah, Cam Newton's year.
Yeah.
So 7 years ago. And I feel like I'm not saying this is a similar situation because I'm not comparing Peyton Manning to Russell Wilson here. But obviously a player tail end of their career, right? In their late 30s, right?
Oh, he's like 33. What, Russell?
33.
Still
got Peyton Manning was when they trade for Peyton Manning, but when they trade for him, he was still I think 30 something, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Russell Wilson come in there. The defense is really good. I know they lost Von Miller, but I don't think but it's still a really good defense. Always been a really good defense. That's what Broncos that's their identity. It's always been their identity, and it's a very good identity to have, right? Because if you have a good defense, all you need is, and that's what they've been missing, a really good QB because they have that young core of wide receiver as well. They have Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, who's very
Tim Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the running back? Williams. I think he was a rookie last year.
Yeah, there
I don't know
was
if that's
I think it was Melvin Gordon,
Melvin Gordon, and then there's Williams,
Williams. Yeah,
who just them two running backs really good.
yeah.
And
But against their O
I don't
line,
know
that run game's
exactly,
non-existent if they don't fix their O line.
that O line. What's that tight end's name? He has a really it's their backup tight end, not Noah Fant. But he had a
Oh,
really long name, but he was really
yeah,
good.
yeah. You're right. I had the. Oh my
I don't
god, I
want
had
to,
the stats.
but yeah, I don't want to butcher his name, but he's a really good tight end. So realistically, this team with Russell Wilson at QB, I think they're set if they can figure out that O line, right? As you said, a lot of teams are actually like that. Like if you have a good O line, you're set. So I feel like I don't know how involved Russell Wilson was in on this trade. He probably didn't. Well, he probably wanted to go a team with an O line, right? But obviously, he doesn't get to pick and
Yeah.
choose here because
Well,
they're trading him.
he has a no trade movement clause, so he had
Okay, so
to
you have to
accept
agree.
this. He had to
Okay,
agree to this
okay,
trade. So obviously, he sees some potential
some
in
potential for
Denver. Clearly, he realizes that he won't be able to win Seattle anymore, and
Yeah.
Denver's his next better than Seattle. I don't want to say it's his best opportunity, but it's definitely better than
So yeah,
Seattle.
I guess Broncos gave up on the Drew Lock. Drew Lock was he never really did anything. Let's be honest, but
No,
he's a cool guy.
let's be
He's a cool
honest.
guy, you know. So because Drew Lock is still a young QB. I wonder if where he's gonna go because there's a lot of teams looking for some QBs, especially my Steelers too. They're looking for some young QBs, right? We'll take anyone, you know. I was joking
Yeah.
about it a couple of days ago. I was like, Josh Rosen, you want like I know you suck. You want to come to us, like
Tight end you're thinking of, is it Albert Aqua
exactly,
Bunam?
exactly. I didn't want to butcher his name, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think I butchered it too, but yeah,
But yeah, I think that's why they're fine with giving up Noah Fant just
yeah,
because they had him in the back because he's a really young
yeah.
tight end.
He was it draft. He's 23 years old. Only had 33 receptions last year. So obviously Noah Fant taking that, but yeah, he should. They're going to be looking at him to step up. You're absolutely right. Unless they tip into free agency and get a tight end, but I don't. It's not their biggest need. It's their offensive line for me.
Exactly.
So yeah.
No, I think Russell Wilson. You think they make the? I think they'd be close.
It's tough. That division is tough.
Exactly, especially that. But let's be honest, they weren't that far off this year. To be honest,
nope.
They started off They started off decently hard.
It's just the AFC is like the best conference in my opinion in football. Yeah. So you can look at their stats last year, but then you got to look at every other team in the AFC that missed the playoffs and then see what their projection for this season.
Exactly.
Obviously, they haven't made the offensive. Obviously, they haven't made the off-season moves like the Broncos have early on, getting a star quarterback. But if you look at like the wild card and the AFC, man, you got the Colts who just missed out. They're going to be looking to upgrade on their quarterback situation most likely. Dolphins, who knows what they're going to do. Chargers missed the playoffs, Eric, last year.
They're probably
Browns. If the Bengals that keep winning the AFC North, Eric.
Baltimore, there's no injuries.
Cleveland, if the Steelers want to be competitive, they're gonna have to compete for a wild card, and you're competing with Denver. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting in the AFC. That's why, like, if Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't understand why, because he's like 36. I understand Russell Wilson is 33, still gonna be with the team for a while, but yeah. And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see Russell Wilson and the Broncos. I'm very interested. That division, the AFC West, Patty Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr. That is going to be an intense division. I want to see what those two match up against because NFC, AFC, you don't get to play much. Patty Mahomes, Russell Wilson, they probably haven't seen each other much. Now they will, a bunch more. And so it should be fun. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers, Eric, Aaron Rodgers, of course, everyone knows it now, has signed that lucrative deal, $200 million for 5 years, which is good. For 4 years, which is good for $50 million annually salary, the highest paid NFL player in history. So good for Aaron Rodgers. And where does he sign, Aaron? Guess what? The Green Bay Packers. Who would have guessed? Who could have thought of that? Oh, wait. Most people thought of that. We thought of that. That was our prediction when talking about Aaron Rodgers. We said it made no sense for this guy to go anywhere in the AFC. Do not touch the AFC because at 36, your chances of winning a Super Bowl in the AFC are low. And if he went to Denver, like we said, now it's the same problem Russell Wilson has to deal with. Those three quarterbacks he would have to go against. And so for me, it's Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay. It's his best opportunity to win. They're gonna franchise tag what's his name? I'm so bad with names, even though he's the best wide receiver. Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
They're going to franchise tag Devontae Adams. So he'll be around at least for one more year. And Eric, this is interesting. 4 years deal, 36 years old. We know what Aaron Rodgers has been with the Green Bay Packers. We don't have to analyze what he's going to do with them because we've seen it before. It's just going to be another year after year of chasing for the Super Bowl with the team he has, Matt LaFleur, whatever. The big question I'm curious about is what happens to Jordan Love? What happens to Jordan Love? This is his third year. Right now, yeah, he's probably punching in. This is his third year. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, they pretty much had to wait 3 years before they can have the helm of the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, this is his third year going into the league. Guess what? Oh yeah, Jordan, can you sit 4 more years before Aaron retires, and we'll give you a call? No, that won't be possible. So what happens to Jordan Love? Does him, like, the question is him himself? Does he want to stick around in Green Bay and be the apprentice to Aaron Rodgers and keep getting mentored and learning the system still on year 3 now? Matt LaFleur's. I don't think so. It just would you be that guy maybe one more year and then after you ask for a trade? But I don't know what his contract is. Maybe a couple more years he still has signed, but I don't know what that guy wants to do.
Because the thing with Jordan Love, he has talent. He has talent. He just never had the chance to show it. And I don't know.
They traded up for him.
Exactly.
They wasted a first-round pick on him.
Realistically, I think I feel like that draft pick right now is so. I don't even know. It doesn't make sense, to be honest. I still don't understand it. The fact that they signed Aaron Rodgers to, like, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers obviously deserves the money, but $50 million a year for the next 4 years until he's 40, like, just because you see Tom Brady play till he's like 43, like, doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers will be able to do that, especially 36 getting paid $50 million, kind of thinking that he was about to retire soon too, right? So I think with Aaron Rodgers is, as you said, he's probably gonna be they're gonna be at the top of the NFC, right? Once again.
Yeah.
Gonna make a playoff push. Might probably lose it. We'll see. We don't know, right? They're a good team. They're stacked, right? We've been knowing that. But I know they're gonna sign him to 4 years too. Like,
like a multi-level, exactly. Like a multi-year.
And it doesn't make sense in terms of Jordan Love either, because you have a very young player who's ready to take over, and then you keep the vet around, because really, this team is championship caliber, right? Like, the mentality is not there, but every year the talent's all there. So if you throw Jordan Love on this team, it probably isn't championship caliber anymore. So you don't want to waste Devontae Adams, talent, and all the players you have. So the thing with Jordan Love, I think he's gonna take in like a Jimmy Garoppolo role with Tom Brady, where they have a really good QB in the back, but he's only gonna be able to maybe blossom once he turns like 28, like in the later stages of his career, right?
I don't think he's gonna wait for that.
No, but exactly. So, like, that's kind of what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, even though, like, Jimmy, let's be honest, he's a decent QB, right? So we know he's not the best, but he's a decent QB. But he had to wait until he was like 27, 28 to finally play, and then they traded him.
But when was he picked though? Did San Francisco or did the Pats fucking trade up to get him? No, they didn't. What was the point of the Packers? Like, okay, you lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass. I get that, but you knew his contract was going to come up eventually. So when you're the GM, are you like, okay, well, his contract's going to come up. I'm okay with the decision of letting him walk because I'm drafting Jordan Love. So that's my timeline. That's what I'm planning on doing. But then you get to the point and you're like, oh, we're winning. And then they only recently now the GM thought to himself, oh, our best chances of winning are with Aaron Rodgers and not Jordan Love. Because if Aaron Rodgers left, most likely Devontae Adams is not pleased. And he's like, well, I'm the best wide receiver in the league. I need to be on a winning team. Me with Jordan Love, I don't want to waste the years that I have to for him to develop into that guy. Exactly. So most likely if Aaron Rodgers was to leave, Devontae Adams probably gets franchise tag, plays one more season here without Aaron Rodgers, and whatever time free agency, he's gone. And so I think in the GM's head, he's like, well, my best chances of winning are keeping these two guys together happy. And so Jordan Love looks like you got the short end of the stick. If you get traded, you get traded. I don't care, because that's what I'm saying.
I think they should. Do you think they're looking to trade Jordan Love now? Because realistically, they do need a backup too. Because
they won't.
Aaron Rodgers would retire in the next 4 when he's
his contract most likely, right?
So do you tell Jordan, we'll just wait till he retires, or do you trade him to like a team like Steelers or
you can't tell Jordan Love. you're going to sit for 4 years until Aaron Rodgers. You can't. The guy's going to laugh in your face and be like, I'm not sitting 4 years of my NFL career, man. Like, you can't waste that time. He needs to play. There's definitely going to be teams calling Eric. I guarantee you, teams with QB issues, they will be looking at Jordan Love to be their next guy. So I expect him to get traded before the season starts, or maybe they keep him on for the season. Maybe he's okay with, I don't know what he's okay with, one season sitting. Maybe not even. Maybe he wants out because he's just pissed at this point because he thought he was the guy. They wasted a first round pick. They could have wasted on a defensive position player that they needed at the time, and they still need. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I think he gets traded. Don't think he's definitely not sticking around the 4 years. That's for sure. So look for Jordan Love's name to be circulating in the trade rumor mill these coming weeks. And yeah, so that's why it made no sense. And I like the move. Keeping Aaron Rodgers was the best move the Packers could have done.
Yeah.
Letting him, like, for Packer fans, the nation, the Cheesehead Nation, like, keeping this team competitive, you need Aaron Rodgers. It wouldn't have been the best NFC team if Jordan Love took over. So I like the move. It's just they got to work on Jordan Love now, because if I'm Jordan Love, I'm pissed. Like, I'm not sitting around 4 years. I want out right away. I want an opportunity somewhere else, somewhere that they're going to play me more than you're going to play me in Green Bay. So I expect that. But we predicted it. Aaron Rodgers was going to stay in Green Bay. Guy's a drama queen. He likes to make drama around the news. And so finally has come to an end. The saga of Aaron Rodgers has come to an end. He will be with the Green Bay Packers for his career and then retire, unless he gets traded in his contract. Something comes up and he's not happy. But time will tell what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson now, Seahawks. The NFL's changing quickly, Eric. Yeah. Things you never expect. Russell Wilson on the Broncos? What? Never. Well, 33 years old. He's on a different team. Should be interesting. But that's been the episode of the Chtib Zhang Show, episode 62. Episode 62. And so thank you for listening on Spotify or watching here on YouTube. It's been a pleasure talking UFC NFL, and we'll be back in next week's episode. Peace. Roll the outro.